Hi, Nicole here, and today's video is all about my 3 favorite ways to pose my clients. Environmental portraiture is always big with brand photography, so I wanted to touch on my 3 favorite poses. So as a brand photographer, part of a brand photo shoot is always an environmental portrait. And I move my clients through these 3 portrait poses that I'm about to explain probably in every session. And one key thing to remember is once you put a client into a pose or suggest a way to move their body, if they seem uncomfortable, it feels uncomfortable, and especially when you're looking at the picture, it looks uncomfortable, that's your cue to pivot to something else. You want them to be comfortable. That's where you're going to get the best, most amazing images. So here we go, let's dive in. So the first pose that I tend to go to first is the lean. And this could be leaning in a door frame, doorway area. It could be leaning on a table, leaning on the back of a chair, and this is just their hand or their full arm. They could be leaning their body back onto a table, let's say, almost like they're sitting on the table, but not as much. They're just doing their body. The lean is always a great way to start off because it's not as complicated. They can really get into a more comfortable position with the lean, and they will get more comfortable as the poses move on. But if you ask them to lean against a door frame or a bookshelf, you'll see that they kind of instantly put their hands and feet where they would naturally go. And that's where I want to capture. I want it authentic to them where they're comfortable. So if they put a hand in a pocket, that's perfectly fine. If they cross their ankles when they're standing, that's fine. I will then tweak, we'll take those shots, and then I may just move shoulders and move angles for the best light, depending on the lighting situation. I just want that comfort, and I want it natural to them. So if they lean and all of a sudden they cross their hands, they cross their arms, and that feels like them and their personality, then that's the image that we're going for. If they're not that way and they feel uncomfortable, or they ask, what should I do with my hands? Then I will direct them. And at the end of this video, I'll kind of go through my things that I always think about of what to do with hands, because I know that always comes up with posing. So the lean is where I start. Then sitting. Sitting can be in a chair, on a stool, it could be even on the floor. And it really depends on what you're kind of capturing behind them, because this is an environmental portrait. So I'm often working with creatives. So I'm in their shops, I'm in their studios, I'm in their workshops. I could be in their store. So we want their environment to kind of dictate where they may be placed to. So it could be their office chair. With chairs, my tip on posing with sitting and chairs is bring them to the front of the chair. You don't want them relaxing back unless that's an image that we're going for, but I tend to have someone sit to the front of the chair and then have them make sure their back is straight, always kind of do a shoulder shrug to kind of show what I want them to do, and that kind of relax them, and we get shots at different angles when they're sitting. For sitting, there's also how to place where their legs are going to go, if it's going to be crossed, if their ankles are going to be crossed, if they're not going to be crossed, if they're going to be at an angle. There's so many possibilities, and I read the client. So if I have them sit down and they automatically cross their legs and that's their comfortable self, then that's where we go. If I have them lean their elbow on the back of the chair or on the armrest, that's where we go. And we kind of want to bring them forward. A lot of my clients too, they're trying to be engaging, connect with their audience. They could be coaches, and just bringing someone forward is showing some, they're inviting people into them versus if they're all the way back and standoffish. So there's all that body language going into the poses. But first and foremost, we go with what it's going to be, whether it's a lean or a sit, and how they naturally get there, I build off of that. All right, then we go to action. And the action pose is when my clients are doing what they do, whether they're a painter or a furniture maker, or they're making candles, or they're an artist, or they're a calligrapher, or they might be a coach, whether they're working on a laptop, or they're in their environment and they're actually in motion doing things. I will then, in that action phase, have them look up to me, to camera, and smile, and we can kind of do some of the poses, whether they're standing or they're sitting, and that's always a great, fun environmental portrait that my clients always love. All right, so those are the three kind of key poses that I work my clients through, and we kind of can mix all of those together in images and get really creative. The lean, sitting, and action. Okay, so I touched on that we're going to talk about what to do with hands, and people always ask this question, and I have a couple solutions, and based off the client, we kind of go in different directions. So if they are standing and they tend to just cross their arms, I will move them that way. I may have them put one hand in the pocket. I may have them do one hand on their hip. And if it's a female doing one hand on the hip, it kind of opens up and creates this triangle, which is also very flattering, and most clients love this. And then I will move their shoulders to get the correct positioning and angle that they need to really get the shot. Other things is it could be one hand in the back pocket. I often, in standing, will have them grab their top of their wrist while they're standing. And that's a good one if someone is wearing a suit jacket as well. And I always are looking for them to get into the position of the pose. And then I kind of have them freeze and I go up. I always ask if I can touch their clothing, if I can move their hair, because we want them to be comfortable, and it's always their experience first. I want them to have a really great experience in that they know that I'm taking care of them for the best image possible. So once they're in the pose, that's when I go up and tweak any shirts. If there's wrinkles in shirts, or we want to smooth out shirts, and make sure collars are correct, or ties and jackets. That's when I start tweaking things once they're in the pose. So we get the arms and hands where we want, and then we can make those adjustments. Last thing with the hands is holding items. So mugs, laptops. I often have, like in the action shot, if they have a laptop or a folder for their business or a bag, they can be holding things in their action, and it makes them feel much more comfortable. Or even using an empty to-go coffee cup I've used as well in a lifestyle shot, walking down the street. It doesn't have to be, full of hot coffee. You don't want them stressing out about burning themselves. Having that little prop, they know what to do. Okay, so those are the bonus tips of what to do with hands, and always keeping them comfortable and confident. This has been a game changer in my brand photography business, and that is having all the images go in real time to my iPad on location. And why that's important is that as we're moving through all the poses and all the different setups and the full brand session, we can swipe through and look at all the images in a large format, and we can see if we need to do any tweaking to a pose. We see things that we love and know that we got, and we can move on. The client always feels excited and confident and knows that they're getting images that are perfect for their business. So having that availability for them to see the images as soon as they're taken and we can tweak and it's a collaboration has been a great add-on experience to my clients, and I highly recommend. All right, I hope you found this helpful. All the different examples throughout this video to kind of give you ideas for a brand shoot, whether you're taking the images or you're setting up a brand shoot with a photographer. Hopefully this gave some great inspiration. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and have a great day.